All right, so Novak Djokovic has picked up right where he left off at the end of last year to come into 2023 looking absolutely dominant. Starts the season, wins the Adelaide tennis tournament, the ATP 250 there. So now he's heading into the Australian Open, having just beaten Medvedev, one of his main competitors, with Carlos Alcaraz announcing that he's going to miss the Australian Open due to a leg injury that he's picked up in training. So my question is Djokovic just the dominant Australian Open favorite heading into the tournament? In my opinion, he is. I'm going to talk about his main competitors going into this, but to me, after he wasn't here last year, things have gone back to normal at the beginning of the ATP season with Djokovic looking absolutely ominous in Australia. So we're going to talk about his competitors. We're going to talk about the U.S. winning the United Cup, get you updated on that, and the Alcaraz injury, and kind of just set the tone, the vibe right now for what's going on before we get really rolling with the Australian Open. So welcome to the Slice. Let's get into it and chat about it. All right, thank you for being here and subscribing and liking this video, hitting the bell if you haven't already. We are in a state of flux as well, still here with the studio, as you can see, but we will shortly be in our new studio after our long travels throughout Europe, documenting the world of tennis for you, the fans of the show, the friends of the show. So thanks for being here. This show is presented by the Monday Bagel newsletter, which is now on Substack.com. So kind of a different format, different hosting site, but we just posted a lot, kind of a further rundown of the ranking changes from last week, who won what's going on, and the main title is the same as this video, in that Djokovic is looking like the dominant AO favorite. So do me a favor and go to the link below and subscribe to the Monday Bagel newsletter. We pick a free giveaway every month to send to one of the subscribers on there. So get in there and get your news delivered to you weekly in a condensed format that's easy to read. What's been happening? Well, since the beginning of the year, like I said, Novak Djokovic has taken over, and he won the 250 in Adelaide. And that's not a big deal. Obviously, him winning a 250, that's pretty normal. It's his 92nd tournament of his career, tournament title of his career, tying Rafa Nadal. Question for you: do you think that Novak will pass Federer as far as total titles won? I think Federer's at 103, or finished his career at 103. So Djokovic is at 92. So that's like 11 more titles. You got to think Novak's going to play for like 3 or 4 more years. So to me, it's pretty obvious, yes, that he will pass him in total titles won. So, but you let me know. But the real question is here: who can really challenge Djokovic at the Australian Open? Just looking forward, because he just beat Medvedev fairly. It was a close match, 6-3, 6-4. It's fairly close. Obviously, a lot can change in the next time. But he also beat Medvedev the last time they played, and he's kind of beaten everyone the last time they played, except for Holger Rune in the final of Paris, which was obviously a crazy comeback from Holger Rune, a bit of a letdown, bit of a choke maybe from Djokovic there. But in general, he's just looked a class above everyone else, and he hasn't even had a chance to play the world number one, Carlos Alcaraz, because he's had injury at the end of last season. And now Carlos has picked up a new injury apparently on his leg. Looking it up here, it's called in training, he hurt his leg. It's called the semi-membranosus, very sus, a muscle in his right leg Carlos has. So he can't play the Australian Open now. So honestly, it's depressing because it's just another catastrophic event in the tennis tour. We had all these things with Djokovic missing tournaments last year, shutdowns in the years before that, players getting injured like Dominic Thiem, Zverev, and now we got Alcaraz, who coming into this year, one of my favorite storylines was, how is Carlos going to play as the new number one, or as the number one after getting it at the U.S. Open? This was going to be his first major as the world number one, and we were going to really see how he could be tested with that pressure against all the people trying to take that title from him. But now we won't get to see that at the Australian Open, and he'll likely lose the number one spot. Does it? Not necessarily. Depends how he does it. But there's basically 3 players who can take him over: Djokovic, if he wins the title; Tsitsipas, if he wins the title, and I think Djokovic doesn't make the final or something like that; and then Casper Ruud, based on a few scenarios as well. Carlos Alcaraz was only defending like 90 points at the Australian Open, so points-wise, it's not the biggest blow to him, but it is a huge blow, obviously, him and us and the whole tennis world, because we wanted to see that kid compete and fend off all the other people chasing him in the standings and the rankings. So that's depressing. So we all hope that Carlos can get back to health here ASAP. Yeah, dang, what a shame that he's not going to get the Australian Open. That's a huge blow. But thinking about Djokovic, who won this title, this trophy in Adelaide with the snake, beat Sebastian Corda in the final, who received a much smaller snake trophy. He's looking ominous. Like I said, he beat Medvedev in the semifinals, beat Shapovalov, Canadian, in the quarterfinals. So again, it's a 250. It's going to be different in Melbourne, but if anything's different, Djokovic is going to have more of an advantage on the field because he's won the title 9 times, going for his 10th title down under in Australia. So to me, the real competitors or the real challengers for Djokovic at the tournament are Medvedev, Nadal, Tsitsipas. I'm going to throw Felix Auger-Aliassime in there. But as it stands right now, Djokovic basically has Tsitsipas in like pigeon mode, where he's, I think, beaten him 8 times in a row now, which is like shocking to me. If you are Tsitsipas and you consider yourself like a companion or a colleague of Djokovic at the top of the game, fighting for the same titles that he has, but you lost 8 times in a row. So he is not looking like that much of a threat to him, but I do think over the 5-set format, he obviously will be. But coming in then to the other guys, if you think about Medvedev, he just beat him. And again, like I said, he's beaten him the last couple times they've played. Medvedev is probably his biggest challenger on these hard courts. We saw that they played in the final in 2021. Medvedev made the final here 2022. Medvedev beat Djokovic in the final of the US Open 2021. So if they could have an epic in 5 sets, that could be a challenger. Nadal never beat Djokovic at the Australian Open. So yeah, to me, the odds are stacked against the field, and I'm leaning Djokovic just before. This is way before the tournament, the draws even get made. So, and then I'm going to throw Felix Auger-Aliassime in there as a competitor, that someone that could beat him, I think, based on his first serve and first ball and his general form that he came out of 2022 with. Felix did beat him at the Laver Cup, which, put an asterisk there. Djokovic had just come back. So I don't know. In my opinion, Djokovic looking like the absolute dominant favorite heading into the Australian Open, especially with Carlos out, which is a damn shame, as I said. So what do you think about that? United Cup, the U.S. Team USA wins the first ever United Cup with a pretty stacked team. They got, as you can see there in the picture, they got Madison Keys holding the trophy, Jess Pegula, Francis Tiafoe, Taylor Fritz as the core 4, you could say. And yeah, just a super solid team. Beat out Italy, swept them 4-0 in the final. Pretty solid. Interesting tournament. Didn't follow it too much, to be honest. It's like a mixed event, if you didn't know, taking the place of the Hopman Cup. So it's the top men and women from the different countries that had entered. Canada didn't even enter a team, as I said on Twitter. Probably wanted to let the rest of the world get one, as we just won the Davis Cup. So shout out to the men's national team for winning the Davis Cup. National team, what is this, soccer? Anyways, so the U.S. wins the United Cup. Sabalenka wins Adelaide for the women. Coco Gauff gets the title in Auckland, also for the women, of course. And so we got a lot of players. Qualies in the Australian Open have already started. We've got some friends of the show that have gone down, some people that are playing. Everyone's grinding, trying to make that money, trying to get those ranking points, trying to get into the Australian Open, trying to get into the big dance, right? You want to be on the dance floor to try and make the magic happen. So that's a little update. Djokovic looking ominous going into the Australian Open. Can anyone stop him? It's going to be tough. If it happens, it'll be surprising. But we'll see. We'll see. Crazier things have happened. Like Djokovic getting deported last year. That was crazy. You didn't see that coming. Maybe you did. I don't know. But anyways, there's the quick slice on Djokovic's form going into the AO. He's a huge favorite. I want to know your thoughts. USA wins the United Cup. Super sad that Alcaraz can't play. And what you need to do before going here is subscribe to the Monday Bagel on Substack.com. The link is below for that. Thank you guys for your continued support. We'll be in our studio very soon to give you our premium Australian Open coverage that I'm very looking forward to getting stuck into. So we will see you guys soon. Thanks for being here.